Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you are doing well. So today we are going to start with a new lesson, how, when and where. So throughout your history lessons, I am sure you must have started with the chapter 1 with how, when and where. Now, what does it signify in this session? Let's have a look. So in this chapter we are going to learn about what are the important dates. As we spoke about how, when and where, we have to keep in mind that we'll be talking about dates, places and the procedures of whatever happened in our history. So, how important are the dates and what dates are important? Not every date is important, isn't it? For example, in your life, certain birth dates are important. Your birthday, your parents' birthday, your friend's birthday, right? Then we are going to learn about how do we periodize. Now, we will see what is periodization. For example, starting from 1 year to a long period of time, how do we periodize things and events that took place in the history? What is colonial? The term colonial, I'm sure that you must have heard colonization, colonial, etc. Now, what is colonial? We'll see that. Administration produces records. Now, who was responsible for all these records that were maintained, these dates, places, things, books, etc. So, the administration which produces records. Surveys become important. What role the surveys play in the history and preserving history and culture? We'll see that. What official records do not tell. So, when we talk about history, it is not just 1 year, 2 year or a specific period of time. It was long time back. So, there must be few things which are not recorded or which remain unrecorded. So, what was the things, what were the events that were not found in the records? We'll have a look at that. So, let's begin. So, to begin with the lesson, let's have a look at a story. So, what do history tells us? Can you tell me? Can you think about it? I am sure you all must be wondering, what does history tells us? Why are we studying history? It's all in the past. How is it significant today for us? So, history tells us about the people of the past and their ways of living. So, that we can compare between the ancient era, the early times and how life is today. What were the developments that took place, so that we can compare, establish a comparison and where we were and where we are from now, so that we can even plan for the future. Where the people used to live, what did they used to do, what was the work that they used to do, what they ate, what they wore, what festivals they celebrated, so that we can preserve our cultures, our rituals and pass on it to newer generations. So, there is a conversation between two people here. One student, just like you, says, I do not like history. There are so many dates, so many facts. I just cannot remember it. It's boring. Then, the other girl, the girl says, no, history is not boring subject. It is interesting because it gives us an outline of where we come from, about our ancestors, about the society that has developed and we are living in now. So, how important dates are. I am sure you face a very difficult time in studying dates, remembering 1798, remembering 1805, etc. So, how important dates are, what is the significance of the date? For example, just think, if you were born on 23rd of July and you failed to remember that date of birth of yours, or if your parents do not remember, they did not have the record of your birth date, will you ever be able to celebrate your birthday? No, you wouldn't have been. So, that is why dates are important. So, a time when history was synonymous to dates. History is all about comparison, as we discussed, so that we can compare old and new ways. Everything has a history, like tea. When was tea discovered? Newspapers, when did the printing press started? How was the rail, and when did the railways were started? Then everything must have a time, like when they were discovered, when it started, isn't it? But it is actually incorrect to fix a precise date for these processes, because railways were not built in one day. It was not like that we laid all the tracks and railway lines in one day and the other day we started with the railway journeys. It took a lot of period, a long period of time to develop these things. So, it is not just about one date, one particular date. It is about a period that happened in the past. For example, people in India did not begin drinking tea in one day, did they? No. So it was a period, it was over a period of time, it was a process of development where they found tea, people adapted to the taste of tea, and that is how it became important in our culture. So, the reasons for associating dates with history. Why do we have that association, that link between dates and history, historical events, past events? Earlier, there was a time when history was an account. It was not something that we used to teach. It was just an account. We had the records, we used to study it. There were historians and archaeologists who could link it. Now, this is one style for recording history of battles and big events, accounting. So, accounting is nothing but maintaining a record of dates and places where an event took place. For instance, historians wrote about the year a king was crowned, the year he got married, the year he had a child, the year he ruled, he fought a battle, and the year he died. So, this system was known as accounting of records and history. Now, another style of recording the history is also there, which is not date centering. So, there is not just one method to talk about history or keeping the records of history. Another style of recording history is also there, but it is not date centering. It is not only centered or related to numerals like dates, years, places, etc. The reason behind these questions and certain events is very subjective. There are detailed theories why that happened, how it happened over a period of time. For example, how people earn their livelihood. So, can you comprise it just in one date or one numeral? No, you can't, because here we are talking about reasons, like how something happened. So, you will have to explain the process, that first this happened, then that happened. For example, what they produced and ate. Can you give it a date? No, because here we are talking about a descriptive question. We are talking about the reasons and subjective questions. They look at how people earned their livelihood, what they produced and ate, what they wore, how things developed, how cities developed, what were the markets like, what was trade like, etc. So, which dates? Now, as we talked about that dates have accounts, we accounted and maintained the records of date and place where things and events were taking place. But which dates? Now, how do you know which date is important and which date is not important? For example, if today is 15th of January and tomorrow is 26th of January, how do you differ between the two, that which date is important? Of course, 26th of Jan, because it is a Republic Day. But what about history? So, history is not all about dates, but dates do play a very important role. Now, how to choose which date? Dates depend on event. As we discussed the example of 15th and 26th of Jan. Why is 26th Jan important? Because that was the day when our constitution came into force. So, it has a historical significance important for our country, for the people of India, right? So, that becomes an important date in our culture and society and for our nation. So, dates, important dates and significant dates which were recorded or which were held into account were recorded on the basis that what events took place on those dates. If our focus of study, if we begin to look at new issues, a new set of dates, they will start to appear significant. So, for example, they have given us few examples here so that we can understand it better. So, the histories written by British historians in India, the rule of each Governor General was important for them. So, they recorded the dates from which the Governor General started to govern a particular city or a state. Apart from that, their classification will revolve around British Governor Generals. So, the Indian events were not important for Britishers, so they only recorded the events and the tasks on the date they happened which was significant for them. So, it is also important to note that it is about the significance, and that significance may differ for everyone. But when we will write the history from Indian perspective, we will have different dates, new set of dates, new set of events which are important and significant for us and our culture and history.